Welcome back, everyone. And I want to apologize to our tag and our petitioner for being a little bit late, but we are here and fully present for you. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Judge Van Rooyen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sovak. All right, are you ready for us to go on the record, Madam Court Reporter? Thank you so much. All right. We are on the record before the Board of Behavioral Sciences, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California, and we're now ready to review our, I will do that actually shortly.
Perfect.
Yeah, sorry, that was just a brief administrative interruption. We're going to review our third petition of the day. That is a petition for early termination of probation by Latasha Yvette Jones. OAH case number is 2026-040-634, and the license number is ASW 107610. My name is Wim Van Rooyen. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings that's been assigned to preside over the hearing today. Today's date is May 7th, 2026. It was noticed for hearing at 8:30 a.m. However, it is now 1:18 p.m. We've had multiple petitions in a row. We are conducting the matter in person and via WebEx video conference. And I'm going to have the board members identify themselves. And my understanding is one board member may be recusing themselves, and they'll identify that for the record when we get to them. So you can take your roll call as normal. Thank you so much for your assistance.
Susan Friedman,
Public member present.
John Sovic,
LMFT present.
Rebecca Thies,
Public member present.
Dr. Annette Walker,
President, Public Board Member.
Eleanor Uribe,
Present LCSW member.
Kelly Ranasinghe,
Present, public member.
and then Lorez Bailey.
Present, Public Member.
All right, thank you. And there was one board member, I think, who wanted to just make a statement and
Yeah.
recuse.
Yeah, so Eleanor Uribe, I will be, just please note that I will be recusing myself from this hearing, and I will not be participating in the later deliberations.
Thank you very much, Ms. Uribe. We appreciate that. But despite that, we still have a quorum even without Ms. Uribe participating in this matter. Let me take the court reporter's appearance, please. Thank you so much. And then the Deputy Attorney General.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Patricia Heim, Deputy Attorney General, appearing on behalf of the people of the state of California pursuant to Government Code Section 11522. I'm here to assist the panel in fact-finding, and my role is not adversarial, but is intended to protect the public interest.
Thank you, Ms. Heim. And last but not least, our petitioner, if you could just state your name and spell it for us for the record.
Latasha Yvette Jones, LATASHAYVETTE, last name JONES.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. So in terms of our hearing procedure today, the Deputy Attorney General will at first introduce all of the petition exhibits and then provide us with a procedural history of this matter, not to relitigate past events, but just to put things in context and what brings us all here today. Then after that, ma'am, you will have the opportunity to make a presentation under oath and explain to us why you believe your petition should be granted. You also have the right to call other witnesses to testify. My understanding is that it's just you testifying today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And so then you would be subject to questioning by the Deputy Attorney General as well as by our board members today. The board is particularly concerned with the rehabilitation that you may have engaged in. And I'll just remind you that the board members have had an opportunity to review your packet and exhibits. However, you're welcome to emphasize or highlight any portions of that you'd like and add any additional information you think is pertinent to your petition. You won't receive an oral decision today. After we are finished hearing all the petitions today, we will go into a closed session to deliberate, and then there'll be a written decision provided in the future. Do you have any questions at this time for me?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you so much. Then with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Ms. Heim, to present the petition exhibits and the procedural history. Thank you.
Thank you. Exhibit 1 is the petition for early termination of probation, including the supporting documentation, which was signed under penalty of perjury by Ms. Jones on December 26th, 2025. This is located at pages A1 through 63 in Case Center. And just to note that the supporting documentation does include a letter confirming Ms. Jones' outpatient psychotherapy and the length of time of that, her partial payment of the reimbursement of the probation program, documentation regarding the conviction that she received. There are some certificates of completion of her continuing education classes, 3 letters of reference, documentation of her community and volunteer work, and a copy of the board's underlying decision, which, as you stated, Judge, that was case number 2002000000064. And at this time, I would like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 1 into evidence.
Thank you, Ms. Heim. And then I'll be asking you each time whether you have an objection to any of these exhibits. I don't need you to state a legal objection. If you have any concern, just let me know. After hearing from both you and Ms. Heim, I'll decide if it fits into a legally recognized objection. So with that said, do you have any objection to admitting Exhibit 1?
No.
Thank you so much. Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you. Exhibit 2 is the underlying stipulated settlement and disciplinary order in this matter, which was effective on September 16th, 2021. It includes the attached accusation, which was filed on January 13th, 2021, and it is located in Case Center on pages A64 through 84. At this time, I would like to mark and introduce that into evidence as Exhibit 2.
Any objection to Exhibit 2?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit 2 is admitted.
Thank you. And Exhibit 3, I would actually request that this be admitted under seal. This is the psychotherapy information sheet and release of information, which opined that a modification of early termination of Ms. Jones' probation was appropriate. And this is located on pages A85 through 88 in Case Center. At this time, I would like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 3.
Thank you, Ms. Heim. I'm sorry to have cut you off there. Any objection to Exhibit 3 being admitted?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And then there is also a request to seal this particular exhibit. Generally, these proceedings are all public, including the documents involved in them. However, the law does provide for protection of information that are particularly confidential and sensitive, such as psychological records. And so I just want to make sure there's no objection from you to me issuing a sealing order for Exhibit 3.
No, no objection.
All right, thank you. So Exhibit 3 will be admitted under seal, and I will issue a protective order that accompanies the exhibits that identifies that document is subject to a protective order and sealed. Thank you so much. You can proceed, Ms. Heim.
Thank you. Exhibit 4 consists of Ms. Jones' registration history certification, noting that her associate social worker registration 71120 was issued on April 7th, 2022, and it expires on April 30th of 2027, followed by the board's notice of the hearing on today's date and time sent on March 17th of 2026. And then the Attorney General's office did issue a notice of hearing, which was served to petitioner on April 22nd, 2026. This is located in Case Center in pages A89 through 110. At this time, I would like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 4.
Thank you. Any objection to Exhibit 4?
Can you repeat that license number?
71120, if that's not correct, I apologize.
That's
Let me
the
just-
old one. The new one is 107610.
You are right. I did note
107610.
610. And you know what? I don't believe that I had actually received the updated, let me just double
It
check.
expired April 30th, 27.
No, you are correct. I'm sorry. I did not include the new registration. Both the the previous registration that I mentioned, 71120, and the current registration number of 107610 are noted on the certification located in Case Center on page let me just move this up a little. Sorry, A90. So both of those are actually located on this certification.
Thank you, Ms. Heim. So other than correcting the most recent license number, any objection to Exhibit 4?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you so much. Exhibit 4 is admitted.
Thank you. And finally, as Exhibit 5 is the petitioner summary provided to the board from probation monitor Sabrina Barrera Ibarra, and this is located in Case Center as pages A111 through 113. And at this time, I would like to mark and introduce that as Exhibit 5.
Any objection to Exhibit 5?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Exhibit 5 is admitted.
Thank you. And a brief history consists of the following. The board did issue petitioner an associate clinical social worker registration on April 7th, 2022. That associate clinical social worker license will expire on April 30th, 2027. On January 13th, 2021, an accusation was filed against petitioner, which resulted in a settlement adopted by the board effective September 16th, 2021, where petitioner was placed on probation for 5 years. The accusation was filed because on August 28th, 2018, petitioner's supervisor discovered that she had authored and signed letters using the names and license numbers of 3 people without their authorization. She used the letters to persuade the parole board to grant parole to her uncle, inmate CH. She was convicted of forgery by signing the name of another on July 20th, 2020, and placed on conditional criminal probation. Petitioner's board probation currently includes monthly psychotherapy. She is fully compliant with probation and to date has paid $2,658 of the assessed cost recovery of $5,756 and $2,400 of the total $6,000 towards the reimbursement of her probation. Petitioner's probation is projected to end on September 9th, 2028. She is requesting early termination of probation and has approximately 28 months remaining on her probationary period. Because the burden is on Ms. Jones, I have no further statements, but I would like to reserve the right to question her. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Heim. All right, Ms. Jones, now is your opportunity to present evidence in support of your petition. Is it your desire to testify today?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to swear you in. If you could please raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly state under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you so much. You can put your hand down. I'll just remind you that the board members have had the benefit of reading your exhibits. However, you're welcome to emphasize or highlight any portions you think are particularly important. And then also because you don't have an attorney to ask you questions, you are more than welcome to just present in a narrative format, conversationally, tell us what you think is most appropriate. Then after that, Ms. Heim may have some questions for you, and the board members may have questions as well. So without further ado, the floor is yours. Thank you so much whenever you're ready. And just remember to speak slowly for our court reporter, so make sure she gets everything down. Thank you.
You're welcome. I am honored to be here on this day. As you mentioned, Your Honor, you already read everything. So my goal is to summarize, take full ownership of my poor actions. As a result of this process, I have learned and evolved and grown to know the wounded healer that I've been doing for a long time for myself. And I'd like to go through the compliance points, not for compliance sake, but I want the board to know what each compliance transformed in my life as a result of my poor decision-making. Each condition I wouldn't have ever signed up for because You know, you don't know what you don't know into something to this magnitude. I've been serving as a social worker for over 30 years without incident. So this moment, as we go through the conditions, unscripted, because I just had the bullet points because I didn't know the depth of the assignments that I placed on myself. My family has been changed because they felt guilty because of the things that I thought was my responsibility. So for our condition number 1, I think it's in your Exhibit C. I'm just gonna really highlight the transformation of my shortcomings through this process to demonstrate to the board that I am not a risk to the public. I think I was a risk to myself and didn't realize it. So for number 1, the psych evaluation, what was revealed to me on this journey is the core root of what made me believe that I'm responsible for everyone in my family. The loneliness of being the first in the family, not as an excuse, but awareness of the state that I was in when I wrote these letters. So the insight of the core of what led me to believe that I needed to do 3 letters for a uncle who's like a brother who had over 30 supportive letters. And the root of that came out of the psych eval. A very expensive price for me to pay, but it saved my life, this whole process. The condition number 2, the psychotherapy, is where the interventions came in. It continued to be a proactive way for me to walk out my new journey because, you know, walking this new version of me out has been a process. And so the interventions in condition 2 for my psychotherapy were down to once a month. And we have a plan to quarterly meet as I am really embracing the person that no longer have to give and do in order to be loved and accepted. So in this process, I've learned to prioritize myself just like I have shared with my clients. So I have to put my own self at the top of my caseload. So the interventions help me walk things out with the most closest people to my family. Setting boundaries with clients I've served for 30 years has never been an issue, but the closest people to me, this is what the psychotherapy has done for me. Walk this intervention out, walk the boundary out, honor your yes, and feel that discomfort with me. And so that's where I'm at in my therapy journey. The condition number 3 under law and ethics, the remedial education, as we know in this work, sometimes we get so many CEUs that we have to do and we just want it to be over. We click, click, click. But I went all in each course as far as boundaries. Where does the root of guilt and shame married to anger come from? The ethics that I know better, but distress that have you doing foolish things. And so the law and ethics, the people-pleasing boot camps that I've taken, it wasn't just the class for me. It's not about the conditions and compliance. It's about insight and really walking that thing out. This is why I took as long as I needed to come before you today, because it's not a rush for me. It took me a long time to work through this to get here. And so these conditions for number 3, just really, really learning how to budget my energy and understand I'm not responsible for saving everyone. In practice, not theory, you know? So that's what the law and ethics conditions, and I'm thankful that you ordered me to do those things. I was resistant in the beginning, but I'm here now because I know that this really saved me in a lot of ways and helped me be the better provider that I am. Number 5 condition, this is the quarterly reports. The accountability, every time I get that email every quarter, the triggers that come up. And also seeing that I'm selecting employers of choice because I know my capacity as a provider not to go out and try to do heavy work when I'm on the potter's wheel myself. So that's what I'm looking forward to if I'm granted early probation, is to not have to look at those emails and really be reminded of a mistake that I made. Condition number 12, employee notifications. There's the vulnerability piece. The rescission offers that's given and taken away after they find out, right? So that really helped me as a person who hid her stuff, because I have been the go-to person in workplaces and loose boundaries and trying to rescue people and then betraying the same people. Oh, I'm sorry, Passion does that, I'm sorry. Let me know.
Don't worry, ma'am. This happens to so many people during hearings.
Is it okay to go?
You can absolutely
Okay.
continue. I was just going to say, just take a
Yeah,
breath
it's
every
it's
now and again.
almost like, whoo. So I'm managing emotions all at the same time, okay? So let me know. So the learn vulnerability piece has been a transformation for me because through all of this process, I don't think I had a safe place to even fall apart. And that's what my brother, uncle represented to me. So this vulnerability piece was huge for me in my transformation for condition 12. Say 12. Hmm? No. I don't know what I said. Oh, condition 12, they don't, the vulnerability piece of learning how to open up with my stuff to other people is what that condition really helped me to do, open up. Condition 18, show me how to be fiscally responsible, budgeting, because at times, as you'll see in some of the other exhibits, I was out of compliance for the payments during the time that I did not have gainful employment. So this reminded me the cost of operating in loose boundaries and being a wounded person costs not only me, but my family. So that really helped me overcome financial struggles and be financially disciplined in that regard. And condition number 19, the cost recovery. It just reminded me again of the cost of my actions and also the accountability and the safety measures the state of California have in place so that we are making sure our public is safe, that I appreciate. And so I don't want to repeat all the exhibits because you have went on record saying you guys read it. I do want to share that in this journey, I'm serving in a nonprofit through a church, very, very intentional. And my whole awareness in this process is people who serve need a person to go to. And this process has made very, very clear to me. I have a community called Care Bears, and we do self-care, internal self-care work, because I've ran across other professionals like me that live in shame, and you apply for a job, and then you have to be reminded over and over again of the mistake. When you're in a career that extend grace. So my work is going to be and has been, including this Saturday, is our Care Bear space is a global movement. And that is how I plan to utilize the LCSW exam that I passed in December. The old me would have ran out and tried to rescue again. But the Hill version of me before you today passed on December 6th and had no urgency to move with that. Because I am committed to being the go-to person for, on a very small scale, those who serve, because it's been my experience. I hid, like I heard before, like hiding behind service and wanting to bail out family members that didn't even ask for it. I just assigned it to myself. And then really realizing the people who benefited from me in that dark space and walking out that boundary when those relationship dynamics shift. So I want to just go on record saying I'm honored to be here. You guys have the information. I was even thinking about bringing all kind of support letters. They're there. But what got me to this place is letters, right? That was not approved and was done under misconduct. So letters in this sense, I gave you 3. There's countless references that speak to my character. And this is one isolated incident that was very costly, but it also saved my life. So I'm looking forward to this being over. I have a daughter who was on that cruise with me when I went into custody. That's the price when the question is, how do we know you're going to be safe? That baby wept. It was like she looking at me in a casket. I've never, ever been in jail in my life. And to get off a cruise, when they said I'm gonna have a training and development, training and be held accountable in that realm, that's the accountability I have. I retired out of Fresno County in the state on March 23rd, 2026, as of last month. Been married 30 years as of last month. I know how to do some things right. I also know how to mess up sometimes. So I don't want my whole life to be reflected on the decision I made, trying to rescue people. I had no criminal intent at all. So I am committed. I'm here for my baby that had to fly home by herself. I'm here on behalf of clients that I said, you can do it when it get tough. I could sit at home in a rocking chair with a small retirement, but I'm here to really walk this out. I ran the course and I thank this board for making this available because I don't think I would have hit the heavier wounds that I didn't know existed if it had not been for this accountability. And so if you have any questions, let me know because there's a lot of Care Bears and I know now who I'm assigned to, not everybody. And I'll just stop right there.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jones. You look like you had a hand up, Ms. Heim. Was there?
No,
Oh,
I'm just ready to answer some or ask some questions.
oh, sure.
No, no.
But before we do that, I just want to make sure we address your exhibits that you submitted as well, Ms. Jones. And I think you referenced some of them. So why don't we just go through those real quick, and have them offered into evidence, and that way
Oh,
anyone can reference that in their questioning. So,
okay.
so we have proposed exhibits A, B, C, D, and E from you, and it also came with a cover letter. And I'm going to just call the cover letter Exhibit F, just so we have a label on that as well for the
Okay.
record. So, and then you can maybe just identify for me what each one is. We'll go through them. So let's start with Exhibit F. That's in Case Center as B1 through B6. It has a heading of Request for Early Termination of Probation dated April 29, 2026. It's signed by you. And it looks like it also includes some of the other exhibits as well. But
Mhm.
is there anything else you want to identify for the record about that?
No, I just tried to make it an easy read and flow, like I did with my packet, so everything could be organized. That's how my brain works, so I hope that's helpful.
No problem. Ms. Heim, any objection to Exhibit F, the cover letter being admitted?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit F is admitted.
Okay.
And then, sorry for going out of order, but it's the way they're in Case Center. So now we're down to A. Exhibit A, I believe, is a table of contents
Mhm.
that you submitted, really just to organize the other exhibits. Any objection to A?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit A is admitted. And then Exhibit B is your personal statement. Is that correct?
Yes,
And let me ask you this. Did you personally prepare this statement and sign it on April 29, 2020?
yes, Your Honor, I personally typed it, signed it, and that's my signature.
Perfect. And I'm not doubting it. For the record, I just want to make sure we establish the
That's fine.
foundation for it.
That's totally fine.
And so, so you indicated you signed that, and then would you testify to the contents of the statements in there today under oath?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Any objection to Exhibit B?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit B is admitted. And then we're down to Exhibit C. I think this is the exhibit you already referenced in your testimony. These outline the summary of your probation compliance conditions, also signed by you at the bottom. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Any objection to Exhibit C being admitted?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit C is admitted. And then let's go to Exhibit D.
Mhm.
It looks like it's been labeled a proof of payment summary dated April 29, 2026, and signed by you at the bottom. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I added that exhibit just to be, make you aware that I'm aware that at one point I was not compliant, so I don't make a message as if I was totally compliant the whole time. So that's why that specifically is in there. in addition to the Exhibit C that highlights the payment being current.
No, thank you very much for that explanation. Any objection to Exhibit D?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit D is admitted. And then last, we have Exhibit E. And this looks like a letter that you prepared and signed at the bottom, and it's labeled Growth, Changes, and Insights. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you personally prepared this letter? Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. I personally prepared this letter.
All right. And it's your signature at the bottom, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. It's my signature.
And you would testify to the contents of this letter under penalty of perjury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Any objection to Exhibit E?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Exhibit E is admitted. All right, that takes care of all your exhibits. And that way it's in the record, and that way anyone can ask you questions about it if they have any. Ms. Heim, your opportunity to ask questions whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jones, you mentioned that you were retired, and forgive me if I have the date wrong. Did you say March 28th of 2026?
23rd on my birthday.
23rd, okay. And that was from the state, you
The
said?
state and the county.
And then can you tell me what was that job?
I left in 2016, Fresno County social worker. And then 2019, I was a forensic social worker. I separated employment in 2016 and 2019, but I officially signed my retirement for payment as of March 23rd, 2026. I'm sorry, I can't.
I'm wondering if is your microphone on?
It's green.
Oh, there it is. It's on. It's just if you pull it closer a little bit, I've been struggling with that myself today, so
Okay.
don't feel bad.
When you're talking to her, let's see if it works that better. Don't push yourself too much.
Okay.
And that way you can use it this way. Try it. Let's try.
I don't think it's
Gotta
on.
turn it on. Is it
There you
green? Okay.
I'm going to take us back on the record. I took us off the record just so we could get you set up with the microphone. Now we're back on the record and you can continue your answer. Thank you.
Okay, so you wanted me to repeat my retirement date or separation date?
I think you were explaining because you said you separated in 2016 and 2019 and.
I officially retired on March 23rd, 2026.
Okay. And so what have you been doing since 2019? Any kind of employment?
Let's go off the record. We're having some audio issues. We're going to resolve them, then we'll go back on the record.
Do the
Okay.
same as.
Okay.
It's easier for her to hear what you have to say. Go ahead and try, please.
Just try it before we go. Yeah.
Test.
You
There.
have to be a little strong.
Okay. Right there.
Yes,
Okay.
Ms. Heim, you are soft-spoken, so just try and project a little bit. That would
Sorry.
be great. No, there's nothing wrong with that. It just needs a little amplification. That's all. All right, are we ready to go? Before we go on the record, I think to clean this up, let's restart your question that you asked, and then she can answer that, and then the court reporter doesn't have to worry because there was a lot of in there. All right, let's go back on the record. All right, we are back on the record. It's 1:50 p.m. Because of the audio issues, I'm going to just have our Deputy Attorney General ask her question again, and then you can answer that. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. Ms. Jones, I was just asking you because you had mentioned you retired from the state, and I wasn't exactly sure what that meant when you said the state. Like, what was your job that you retired from?
Clinical social worker.
Okay. And you were saying earlier that you worked for Fresno County
Yes,
for a period of time. And what was that period of time?
from 1990, the early 90s. I don't know. I was there 20 years,
Okay. And then,
but I stopped and I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no.
So I left in 2016 to go work for the state. From 2016 to 2019 was my last clinical job.
Okay. And what agency for the state was that with?
Department of State Hospitals, Kalinga, where the letters were.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And earlier in your statement, you were, correct me if I'm misunderstanding what you said, but basically what I heard you saying was that the uncle that you wrote the letters for hadn't asked you for those letters, you felt like it was your responsibility to write them. Can you explain that?
Well, this, in my psyche eval, it was kind of revealed about the connections I was making about the support of having professionals in addition to the support letters he had, based on the case that I had that I don't know, anyway, it was, it was, me adding support letters from a social work standpoint to support him, more like resources if he got out. And he didn't need them, but in my mind, it's more professional letters to support him. Based on what I experienced in my own matter is what the connection was that was revealed to me through my psyche eval.
Okay.
But he did not ask me, didn't have anything to do with it. So part of the guilt when his date was paused, I had to live with that. And they lifted it and he's since been home. But the point is, I had a lot of different people I let down, including myself, family, coworkers, him, everybody, plus trying to figure it out. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to actually ask you a few questions about what you had written on your petition. In your answer to item 28 in your petition, you said that the submitting those letters was a serious lapse in judgment. Can you talk about how you've worked through that in your subsequent therapy and probation?
Yes. So basically, 8 years prior to that, I was executor for my grandfather's estate. Me and my dad, I was executor. I had an attorney who embezzled everything, told me to put it in her account. And $500,000 later, down to $40, she's now disbarred. And what I seen at that sentencing hearing, no time in jail, 5 years probation and disbarment, based on who came to testify and support her, then people in status and all of that I wasn't thinking about that at that time, but that's what was unpacked in therapy, probably what happened with hearing my grandma say, don't leave, don't forget my son on her deathbed, and all the demands in my head, connecting the 5-year probation. And then I get hit with a forgery charge. I had so much anger about that. At the time when I was writing the letters, I wasn't even connecting the two dots at all. So this is what was worked out in therapy. This is what subconsciously was going on. You have befriended people based on their personal stuff. The 3 people are not people I don't know. I know them, and I let them down and violated them. And they know that I'm very, very sorry about it. So I worked through acknowledging that it was wrong, and I know better. And I also worked through forgiving myself and not living shame about what I did. And acknowledge that I put everybody in harm because I thought I was a rescuer based on what I've been doing most of my life. So that is what we work through and continue to work through. Just being aware, I don't need to work through as much because my safeguards are in place. I don't do things out of overcommitment and obligation. The most loving people in my family is the hardest part I broke through. And so I've showed up different. And so now they're operating in their well-being. And even if they don't, that's not my work.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In item 29 in your petition, and also you mentioned it earlier today, you were talking about completing training on boundaries and people pleasing and ethics. Can you speak more about that, just generally? About you have done some work in those areas. So what specifically have you worked on?
Pretty much how I make my decisions, not internalizing the pain of other people. Like I know how to do that with clients, but when it comes to family, like a parent or a sibling. I don't make decisions based off of their stuff. I don't internalize their emotion and believe it's mine. So before I would make a decision, oh, okay, let me help and bail you out, right? That was a lot of codependency stuff, and just early on, just seeing a mom who didn't want to live as a teen parent and seeing somebody trying to bring her back to life, the paramedics. So as an 8-year-old, seeing that, maybe if I be the A student, maybe if I be the first to go to college, I can just heal my mom, right? So people pleasing is connected to the more I do for you, I'll be loved and accepted. So working through that helped me to understand I'm lovable for who I am, not if I can do for you, because obviously I had no income after all of this, and everybody I was helping out, they have to go find out for themselves. So that's what the boundaries is really big on. My capacity and container to help. Is it my assignment? And honoring my husband in this process, because he's been on the journey with me and been trying to hold me accountable. But he's really said he's glad this happened too, because he's been softly telling me, like, you're not responsible for everybody.
You also mentioned your daughter. Was you were on a cruise with your daughter? And again, correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding was that you were on a cruise with your daughter and you were arrested.
Yes,
How old was she at the time?
probably 20, 22, 22, 22. Young adult, our first time traveling.
Okay.
They told us, you can have vacation time, go. We're just gonna write you up. You're fine. But then I had a voicemail while I was on the trip that he had to cross-report it. He was leaving the job, so that's how it ended up automatically. When he filed it, it was an automatic warrant in the computer, is what was explained to me when I got back.
Okay. And who is he?
The investigator at the hospital, the employer
Okay.
where this happened at.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So I was wondering, also in terms of your relationship with your daughter and taking responsibility, how has that process been for you?
It's been hard because as a mother, I didn't know how, I knew, oh God. That was a big part in therapy, forgiving myself for putting her in a position. And even now, she's calling frantic, like, how's everything? I didn't want her to come here because I want closure, whatever it looks like. So it's been hard because the welling of those tears, it's like me, I was in a coffin. The welling was so strong, I had to sleep with that. But she's very protective. We've been doing family therapy and stuff, but she also see her mom's resilience of showing up at a pace that works for me, not out of a deadline, just slowly working through this, taking jobs that align with my mental well-being and not overextending myself.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what do you believe that you have learned that will help you prevent you from repeating the type of behavior that led to your discipline? Say if you're in another position and there's someone you feel like would be helped by a similar behavior, what is something that you have taken from therapy that will help you not repeat that kind of behavior again?
I would say even more than therapy, I'm going back to that cut deep about my poor decision on what that meant for my daughter. I don't have a history of doing this, so I'm not concerned about being lured in to that. It's just the people who I help them different or not at all. I know how to set a boundary. If somebody asks me to do a letter, I don't show up as this person that's available to coworkers when they have stuff. I've tightened a boundary around that. But just the checks and balances of it's just, I know better. I don't have any concern at all about being tempted to write. I can't even help my 22-year-old with a resume letter on Word right now because I'm just like, and come sit here, do it yourself. I have to work through, it's not connected to that anymore. Release yourself from that And that's what we've been working through in therapy. You can help your son a Word document with him. It's not connected to the letters you did. So I worked through all of those kind of things that tried to revisit me to keep taking myself through my poor decision.
Thank you. You also mentioned in your petition and specifically your response to item 30 on your petition, you mentioned that therapy helped you re-identify your role as a rescuer. You've kind of been talking about that, but what do you think? How have you developed your ability to maintain those appropriate boundaries? You've mentioned that you've worked on boundary work, but what specifically is helping you?
I didn't need anything else after being arrested on the cruise with my baby. But what it looks like day to day, I'm not that concerned about the downfall of people that giving them back their responsibility. They don't even get to me now because I don't get access to people like I used to. Because going through that 16 days later in Miami, not sure if my baby, that's all it took for me. Rock bottom was that experience that a therapist can't even teach me on that level. They can teach me a lot, just like I tell the clients. The answer sometimes is inside of us. We ask the question sometimes to pull it out. So I knew that I needed it. That's why I started therapy before it was even ordered here, because I knew that this is what it was going to take for me to pull it together and look inside myself.
Thank you. You also mentioned avoiding that you worked on avoiding dual relationships. What are some of the tools that you've developed in your therapy journey or just in your work as a social worker? What's helping you develop your ability to avoid dual relationships?
Right now, a lot of people are like doing side things to make income in the workplace. Before I would try to support, but now if people ask, I'm like, I can't. I don't enmesh, I don't triangulate, I don't have dual roles, whether they have good intentions or not. I'm very clear because I know I'm a relationship builder naturally. And so if people come and they have stuff going on, me being a guarded person, I have my own stuff going on too. But I just don't allow conversations to, and I'm aware of discerning where the conversation's gonna go, like good morning leading to something else. I can kind of stop it right then and there. I'm sorry you're going through that. Not even giving advice, but just really redirecting when I know the conversation is trying to head someplace else. And I do not feel guilty about doing that anymore. That was a big thing for me.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So you're still seeing your therapist, right?
Once a month, yeah.
Once a month. Okay. And how's that going for you?
It's great.
And so in being retired, so are you currently doing any kind of work as a social worker?
I work at a nonprofit through the church, Joint Opportunities.
So in that work, then is it something that you are required to have licensure for?
Yes, there's some therapy based on their grants and funding sources that they have. We do a lot of groups and psychoeducation stuff. When I've applied for credentialing to serve more in terms of like insurance panels, then I'll be able to serve the community a little bit more. But again, I'm not into like having a full caseload, but we'll be able to serve more of those individuals in the community once I'm credentialed.
Okay, thank you. And then what specifically do you see as a benefit of having your petition for early termination granted?
There's a lot of benefits, like I said earlier, just not having to keep every email I see about quarterlies, reporting again, which is fine. I've done it for years, but just wanting to be free to not have to keep getting declined credentialing even until probation is lifted. There's a lot of limitations with that. And I just want to be free to build trust again with this state, to know that I am not a risk to the public. And just sitting with that gives me peace to be able to know that, you know what, I don't have to keep proving myself. I don't have to keep wondering if the email, like constant. I just want to be able to just be free to try a cruise again, because that's one of my goals, to get on there and not feel like something's going to happen. So I feel like this is a closure in the trust that this board has entrusted me with the compliance. I have a track record of sustainability, doing hard and sometimes not so hard things, and I want to prove that with not having the extra oversight.
Thank you. So you believe you're safe to practice?
I'm absolutely confident that I can practice safely as I have for 30 years, with the exception of this incident that I'm very, very very, very sorry to everybody that I impacted.
Thank you. Judge, I don't think I have any further questions. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty.
Thank you, Ms. Heim. All right, I'm going to turn it over to our board members now for questioning, and I'll start on this side again. Ms. Dees, whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you for being here today and for your testimony, Ms. Jones. I guess I'll start with your tolling, right, when your probation started. You mentioned, I think, barriers related to employment with tolling, is that correct? But then you also, in your testimony, mentioned that you were a little bit resistant to some of the terms of probation. Did that contribute to tolling as well? Or
Can you say the last part? I'm sorry.
perhaps I can rephrase this. You mentioned that you were resistant in the beginning of your probation to some of the probationary terms that were set for you. Perhaps you can speak more about that resistance to
Oh.
the probation and whether it contributed to the tolling periods that you took.
Okay, thank you for asking that. That's an excellent question, actually. So my resistance was, like on the record said earlier,
Mhm.
I had already proactively went and we look for therapists that align with the way I process. That's what I do. So I was already in therapy, moving into EMDR, and going to start that process. But going through the orientation, the way the rules are set up, you have to terminate with the previous therapist and start new, which goes against what we learn in this work. And so part of me saying, okay, throw away what I just started with existing therapists, go find a new one by this deadline. It just didn't align with our values in this work. So I was resistant about what is this really? That was my resistance. And the tolling had nothing to do with that, because the jobs that I was taking was some case manager and then some clinical. It wasn't enough hours to pay my Cover California and all other priority expenses to keep my family afloat. So that was what that was about in the beginning.
Thank you. And then is it, am I correct in reading that your position with Joint Opportunities coincided with you ending the tolling period and kind of beginning more of the terms of your probation?
I started getting really creative with case manager work and
Uh-huh.
different part-time things that I can do, because I knew I could only toll for so long, and I didn't want to have like very demanding jobs at night as a second job to make the toll, and then it would just throw me out prematurely with burnout. So once I started taking other jobs, part-time jobs to supplement, then I was able to catch my bills up and, do taxes and stuff like that.
Okay. Thank you. I believe you already mentioned this, so apologies for making you repeat it. Could you just clarify the types of clients that you serve at Touchstone Family Development Center and then Joint Opportunities?
So Touchstone is families of children with autism. So it's a lot of psychotherapy groups supporting them. It was monthly. They lost their grant But then they still have a lot of like EI teachers and therapy and parent support to support them as their kids are going through their diagnosis of autism, is what Touchstone is.
And then the joint opportunities.
Joint Opportunities is a community-based organization housed on a church campus.
Okay.
And so it's just anything that's scheduled, depression, anxiety, family groups. We have one this weekend for Mother's Day and grief, things like that.
Okay. I think that's all my questions for you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Friedman, if you have any questions.
Thank you so much for being here. You have a very complicated history that's involved in one event. And that one event seems to have affected a myriad things in your life. I appreciate your sharing that story, but I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Friedman. Dr. Walker, you're up
Thank
next.
you, Your Honor. Thank you so much. And Ms. Jones, I appreciate you being here today. I've heard your testimony, and I want to say that I appreciate you taking full ownership of your wrongdoing, in your own words. I think recounting the probation compliance in part was very helpful, in addition to some of the responses you gave to one of the other board members a moment ago. So I appreciate you doing that. It kind of gives us an idea of how the probation has helped to serve you, help you, and also to hinder you. We understand the financial aspects based on your testimony, so I appreciate that. More so, I'm not sure if I have a question here, but I do want to note that your resilience literally speaks volumes in your testimony today. Your usage of the word transformation and your willingness to be vulnerable, to hold yourself accountable, demonstrates your stick-to-itness, right? Given your 30-year commitment to your career, your longevity with your personal relationships and your career and personal life, we hear you. We also see you. And honestly, your reasoning for wanting the early termination was the first that I've heard, in that you really wanted closure in the way that you express how you define that in this process. So again, we hear you and we see you, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Walker. Mr. Sovek.
Bye. Take a breath. Dr. Walker can bring that out in people.
That's funny.
It's her special gift. I just have a couple of questions. One of them is in about the letters that you submitted and shared with us. In the three that I looked at, only one of them actually mentions that these letters in response to the probationary experience that you're currently under. Did the people who wrote the other letters understand that this was actually involved in this, and how open have you been with them about your journey through probation?
Each and every last one of them, you can call. I want to say Yvette Rodriguez. I can't remember the other two, but they're all aware. The employer you can call, they're all aware. I wouldn't go this far to play games around not disclosing and being under oath to do that. I appreciate the question, but they're very, very aware. Yeah.
Cool, thanks. Another thing, sorry, I have to pull it up. I'm scrolling right now.
That's okay.
Stay with me. I'm scrolling. I'm
Okay.
scrolling.
Take your time, not a problem.
And this is actually from your therapist in their recommendations for your removal from for your early termination from probation. And in it, when they were talking about, so close. I know exactly what I'm looking for too. There it is. That to the question, do you have any opinions about the reinstatement of the petitioner's license? They used a particular phrase that caught my eye. It
Mm.
says, at the time of discharge, there were no clinical concerns. Do you have any idea why they would use a phrase at time of discharge when you're still in an ongoing relationship with them?
Is it the
This is
last?
from the therapist. It's the document that is petition for reinstatement, psychotherapy information sheet. And in there, their commentary, this is signed by Mary Soa Quay.
Mhm.
In the number 6, it says, do you have an opinion about the reinstatement of the petitioner's license? And they particularly use this phrase, at the time of discharge, there were no clinical concerns that would impair her ability. And it's the phrase at time of discharge that I'm just curious.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
you're
don't
not
know.
discharged from therapy at this point, correct?
No, we reduced from weekly to monthly. I'm not sure the date of that document, so I don't know. I can't speak to why she wrote it that way, but I have signed a release of information with BBS, so I would encourage them to explore that question with her.
Okay, but
Because
you
I
are
can't answer.
continually doing once a month.
Once a month.
With this particular therapist.
Yes, we reduced down to once a month, and I'm actively with her once a month.
Okay,
I'm actively in therapy with therapist Mary, Sowah is her last name, once a month. And I think there's a document in the discovery that shows the approval, the recent approval to go down to once a month.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know.
and then a final question for me, and this is once again, for me personally, trying to get down to like the brass tacks of this experience that you went through. And in that moment when you were making the decision to write these letters, there were 3 of them, and you used 3 different signatures? Is that correct?
That's what I was told. It was 3, you said 3?
I'm talking about the ones you wrote for your uncle.
Oh, okay,
Were there 3 letters that you wrote and you used 3 different signatures?
yes.
Okay. How did you come to a decision as to whose names you were going to sign?
Based on pre-existing relationship with coworkers that I've helped in other scenarios with stuff they had going on. And I just shouldn't have assumed that they would have approved of that because it wasn't right.
Coworkers you were close with or coworkers that were
Yes.
more out in the distance?
No, day to day, the loose boundary, you come in my office, bleed on me about your personal stuff, you know about my personal stuff. We knew each other in that realm, but they did not give me permission to do a letter for my uncle. So it wasn't random coworkers, it's coworkers I had a relationship with that I betrayed. And please ask me any questions so I can get it over with, because after today, I don't plan on reliving that. And in all honesty, I want you to be clear because your head is going,
I'm trying to process.
okay,
My group here knows that I think my questions
Okay.
through.
with a smile.
So I'm trying to understand in this idea of where rehabilitation has played out, a decision-making process that weighed the needs of your uncle between the value of these 3 relationships that you say you were close to. Can you help me understand that decision-making process?
In the midst of my distress and the parole hearing, in the sense of urgency I placed on myself and only been there for 3 years versus a brother, uncle who's been gone since a little boy and been in prison for 30 years, the value would have been placed on him, not people that I've known for 3 years and people as coworkers that I've helped with other personal things. So the value was definitely on him, not the 3 years that I've known the coworkers. I hope that helps.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you so much for your
You're very
honesty and
welcome.
sharing with us today.
you're very welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Ms. Bailey.
Thank you for being here today, and thank you for your transparency. And Board Member Slovak asked actually a lot of questions that I had, and one in particular was your letters As you mentioned, I didn't see where it seemed people really had acknowledged. They spoke of your character, but it didn't seem like they mentioned specifically why they were having to write the letters. So I'm glad that question was asked. And I want to kind of think about ethics and, you know, knowing very well what you did was unethical. Tell me how you would have felt in reverse. If someone had used your name, you talked about, you know, you built this 30-year career, your reputation was extremely important to you. You want us to recognize, you know, the time of service that you've had with no incidents. But I want you to think about, like, if someone had done that against, you know, your name, can you talk about how that would have, you know, now that you look at it, how that would have made you feel?
I've looked at my decisions for the last 7 years since it happened. I've dealt with and apologized to coworkers who have forgiven me. So I definitely know the impact of my wrongdoings. I would have felt horrible and betrayed. But because they know that I came to them and acknowledged that I did things wrong, we co-facilitated for 6 months when I was under investigation with the same colleague. And so she couldn't talk to me about it till everything was over. So I have closure with them. They understand that I am very sorry for what happened. I would have been hurt too. But I also respect the fact that they also accepted me at my weakest and lowest, as I did with them, to not write me all the way off. I would have felt bad. And they had a right to be upset and all of those things. So that's the things I've been working on. That's why I took my time to continue to take my time and work through things that I've been going through, and felt like it was time for me to come before the board today, because I feel like I've proven and continue to work forward to do the right thing moving forward.
Thank you. No further questions.
Mm.
Thank you so much. Mr. Ranasinghe.
Thank you. Ms. Jones, during the time that you were tolling your probation, where were you working?
I can't remember the exact toll dates. I may have had a couple of toll incremental times. Because at one point I wasn't working at all when I was tolling.
Okay, thank you. And this might be because Ms. Quay might be a remote therapist, but is there any reason why she didn't sign the letter?
Which one?
Is there any reason why your therapist didn't sign the psychotherapist letter? It's not signed, at least in my copy. The one done December 16th, 2025.
So I wasn't aware that she didn't sign it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can reach out to her.
Mr. Ranasinghe, I just want to make sure we're looking at the same document when you're asking that question. So the version I have that's in Exhibit 3, I believe, that's the that is the letter from the therapist, and it is dated I think December 19th, 2025, and it is signed.
Okay, I'm looking at the December 16th letter, so we're probably looking at different letters. As long as the court's letter is signed, then I'm okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
All right, let me circle back to the other board members, make sure if there's any other questions. Please just raise your hand, let me know. I don't see any hands raised. How about you, Ms. Heim? Any additional
No,
questions?
nothing for me.
And Ms. Jones, any final remarks you'd like to make to the board?
If the board believed that it would be helpful to get current support letters with more distinct identifying ways so that you feel comfort in knowing that they are aware of my case, please do let me know, and I will make sure I upload them for you guys.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate your time and testimony. At this time, the record is closed. Matter is submitted for decision, and we can go off the record. Madam Court Reporter, if you could just give us the end time and page count, please. Thank you, and feel free to ask if you need any spellings. All right, then I will turn it over to our board chair to decide how long of a break.
And we're going to be taking a 15-minute break before we become with our last petitioner of the day.
All right. I think for what it's worth, I think that takes us to 2:42, I think.
And now we are officially back. Welcome. And we are going to continue on with our petitioners now, handing it back to our judge. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, and I see everyone is seated here, lined up. Madam Court Reporter, are you ready for us to go on the record? Let's go on the record. All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're on the record before the Board of Behavioral Sciences, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California. We're here to review our last petition of the day, which is a petition for early termination of probation by Jennifer Cherie Dorosky. And this is OAH case number 2026-040-633. And the license number is AMFT 122347. My name is Wim van Rooyen. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings. It's been assigned to preside over the matter today. Today's date is May 7th, 2026. Noticed hearing for 8:30 a.m. It is now 2:44 p.m. and we really do appreciate the patience, Ms. Dorosky, as well as your counsel. We've been hearing successive petitions, so we appreciate you hanging around. We are conducting the hearing in person and via WebEx video conference. I'm going to have our board members identify themselves for the record again, and I'll thank you so much, Madam Staff Member, for doing the roll call for us. Thank you.
Kelly Ranasinghe,
Present, public member.
Dr. Annette Walker,
President, Public Board Member.
Eleanor Uribe,
President LCSW member.
Rebecca Thies,
Present public member.
John Sovic,
Present LMFT.
Susan Friedman,
Present public member.
Lorez Bailey.
Present public member.
Thank you so much for your assistance throughout today. And I do find that there's a quorum of the board present to hear the next petition. Let's have our court reporter state her appearance for the record. Thank you so much. And our Deputy Attorney General.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Deputy Attorney General Patricia Heim, appearing on behalf of the Attorney General pursuant to Government Code Section 11522, representing the people of the state of California. I'm here to assist the panel in fact-finding, and my role is not adversarial and is intended only to protect the public interest. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, apologies for interrupting you, Ms. Heim. And then we have Ms. Dorosky and her counsel present. I'll have counsel state her appearance for us. Thank you.
My name is, hold on. My name is Jody Storm Sullivan, and I'm appearing as counsel on behalf of Mr. Oski.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you both. Thank you again for your patience in being here. Since you are represented by counsel, I won't necessarily go through all of the instructions, but I will just let you all know the format of the hearing. First, the Deputy Attorney General will introduce all of the petition exhibits and provide us with a procedural history of the case, not to relitigate everything in the past, but just to give us some context for what brings us here today. And then after that, I will turn it over to you, to the petitioner, and counsel. You're welcome to make a brief opening statement if you'd like before you call your client to testify. And then after your client testifies on direct, we'll have questions by the Deputy Attorney General as well as by all of the board members. And then at the end, we'll circle back and make sure you've covered everything you've wanted to. So any questions about any of that? I see head shakes. So assuming no questions, we can go straight to you, Ms. Heim, whenever you're ready to introduce the exhibits. Thank you.
Thank you. Pre-marked as Exhibit 1 is the petition for early termination with the supporting documents that was signed under penalty of perjury on November 25th, 2025. This exhibit is located as on pages A1 through 144 in Case Center. And just to note, the supporting documentation includes petitioner's typewritten responses to questions 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31 of the petition. There are 4 letters of reference. There are certificates of completion related to EMDR basic training and additional protocol for addictions and dysfunctional behaviors. I'm sure her attorney will explain this further later. There are certified documents showing compliance with the Orange County Superior Court criminal probation in case number 21C as in cat, F as in Frank, 3201. There are also a copy of the conviction documents themselves. There is documentation from the California Commission on Teacher Credentials regarding her probation in a case under that board. And there is also a copy of the underlying discipline in this matter. At this time, I would like to submit that document as Exhibit 1.
Any objection to Exhibit 1?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you. Pre-marked as Exhibit 2 is a copy of the board's stipulated settlement and disciplinary order in this matter, which was effective July 27th, 2023. It includes the attached accusation that was filed on February 14th, 2023. And just to note that this was actually the first amended accusation. At this time, I would like to submit that into evidence as Exhibit 2.
Any objection to Exhibit 2?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Exhibit 2 is admitted.
Thank you. And just to note, that is located on pages A145 through 168 in Case Center. Pre-marked as Exhibit 3, which I would like to introduce into evidence under seal, is the psychotherapy information sheet and release of information. This is located in pages A169 through 172 in Case Center, and it opines that modification or early termination of probation is appropriate in this matter. At this time, I would like to submit that into evidence as Exhibit 3 under seal, if possible.
Any objection to either the exhibit itself or it being placed under seal?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you so much. I do find that the material in Exhibit 3 is subject to the exception to the fact that generally things are available to the public, but psychological information is protected under the law. So I do find it's appropriate to issue a protective sealing order that will accompany the record in this case. So Exhibit 3 is admitted under a protective order sealing the exhibit.
Thank you. Pre-marked as Exhibit 4 is petitioner's registration history certification for Associated Marriage and Family Therapist registration number 122347. This was issued on October 6th, 2020, and it expires on October 31st, 2026. This is followed by the board's notice of hearing for this date, which was sent to petitioner on March 10th, 2026. And there is an Attorney General's Office notice of hearing, which was served on April 22nd, 2026. This exhibit is located on pages A173 through 194 in Case Center. And at this time, I would like to submit this into evidence as Exhibit 4.
Any objection to Exhibit 4?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Exhibit 4 is admitted.
Thank you. And finally, pre-marked as Exhibit 5 is a summary of probation compliance and a summary of the facts of the case, which was provided to the board from probation monitor Sabrina Barrera Ibarra. This is located on pages A195 through 197 in Case Center. And at this time, I would like to submit this as Exhibit 5.
Any objection to Exhibit 5?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Exhibit 5 is admitted.
Thank you. Briefly, the board issued petitioner an associate marriage and family therapist registration on October 6th, 2020. This associate marriage and family therapist registration will expire on October 31st, 2026. On February 14th, 2023, a first amended accusation was filed against petitioner, which resulted in a settlement that was adopted by the board effective July 27th, 2023. And petitioner was placed on probation for 5 years. The first amended accusation was filed on March 7th, 2021, as petitioner was involved in a contentious traffic stop due to having drunk alcohol and then driving. She had driven into oncoming traffic without her headlights on, honking continuously, and almost hitting another car. She failed to stop when police attempted to stop her and almost hit a truck when she was accelerating away. After a forced blood draw, her blood alcohol content was 0.25%. She was convicted of evading an officer and a DUI on June 20th, 2022, and placed on 3 years of criminal probation. Petitioner's board probation continues to include biweekly psychotherapy, biological fluid testing 36 to 104 times per year, and twice weekly dependency support program. She is fully compliant and has completed her education requirements, paid her cost recovery in full, and the reimbursement of her probation program in full. Her probation is projected to end on October 2nd, 2028, and she is now requesting early termination of her probation. And because the burden is on petitioner, I will have no further statement, but I would like to reserve the right to question her after her statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Heim. And Ms. Sullivan, would you like to make a brief opening statement?
Very briefly, Your Honor.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor, and members of the board for this opportunity. I'm here today with my client, Ms. Jennifer Dorosky, who is willing and open to share about the last 5+ years of her personal growth and dedication on herself as she focuses and maintains this journey of sobriety that she's on. I'd like to reiterate what has already been shared, that she's been fully compliant with her probation terms since the beginning, and that today her goal is to demonstrate to this board that she can be trusted to be taken off probation early. And with that, I'd like to call her to testify.
Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Dorosky, I'm going to swear you in as a witness. If you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly state, under penalty of perjury, that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. And if you can pull that microphone maybe a little closer to you, I think that might help.
Sorry.
No apologies necessary. We've all been trying to figure out where exactly the microphone should be. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to hand you over to your attorney to ask you questions. After that, Ms. Heim may have questions for you, and the board members may have some questions as well. And then I'll circle back to you at the end, counsel, if there's anything else. So your witness. Go ahead, Ms. Sullivan.
By way of background, Ms. Dorosky, how old are you?
I am 48.
And are you married?
I am.
And do you have any children?
I have 2 children. I have a daughter that is 19 and a son that is 15.
Are you currently employed?
I am. I currently work at New Life Treatment Center, which is a inpatient treatment center for substance abuse.
And what is your job title there?
I am a therapist.
And working as a therapist, what are your duties or responsibilities?
My duties is to see the clients once a week to do their individual sessions. They're required to do that. And I also help with any mental health crisis as well as running groups. And I also help fulfill the responsibilities of working with our detox clients that are in-house and working with them not only in their individual sessions, but as they're coming off of detox through their physical symptoms as well.
And then are you currently on probation before the Board of Behavioral Sciences?
I am.
And can you give the board some background as to why you're currently on probation?
I can. In March 7th of 2021, I was arrested for a DUI. I had 4 years of sobriety before that arrest. I had received a gift certificate
for a IV treatment. They're all over the place, and they put these natural, well, they're natural, I don't want to say chemicals because they're natural, but they put these natural supplements into your body that are supposed to relieve stress, or, B12 vitamins, and make you feel good or give you energy. So I had been given one for a birthday present, and I had decided to go and use it on that day. And I had been given the one that was a stress reliever, mood enhancer, and it had triggered something inside of my brain that I felt this state of euphoria. I felt high, basically. And it was a trigger for me that made me feel like I just wanted to keep that feeling going. And I went out and I got a drink after 4 years of sobriety. And I saw my mother that day, and she said, "There's something wrong with you. You look almost like you're manic." And I just felt good. I just felt like I wanted to keep that high going. And I did something that I had never done before. I continued drinking, and I got into a car and I drove. And there's not a whole lot about that actual night I remember, because I hadn't drank in 4 years, and I was continuing to drink. But I was able to piece some things together from the police report. I know I woke up with lots of bruises all over me. I know that at some point in time, a police officer was behind me. I don't remember a police officer ever being behind me. I know that I've experienced immense shame. I am completely grateful I didn't hurt anybody. I can't believe that I could have hurt somebody out there on the road. I could have hurt myself. But I'm really lucky that I didn't cause an accident. I'm really lucky that I didn't hit anybody. So I'm grateful for that. But just completely embarrassed and ashamed that it ever came to that point. So I was able to piece that together, that is what happened on that night when I ended up getting into a car and ended up driving on that day.
You mentioned that you had 4 years of sobriety before March 7th of 2021. What did maintaining that period of sobriety look for you?
Before that, it was a lot of meetings. I was in therapy. I was taking Vivitrol, which is a drug that suppresses cravings. I had stopped taking that before the incident on March 7th. I had stopped taking that probably about 2 years before that. So I was just doing the meetings with my home group. However, right around that time, I was slacking on my meetings. I wasn't going to them as regularly. During COVID, everything went virtual, including AA. And so meetings, I never picked up to the extent that I was going before COVID. I was still meeting with my sponsor regularly. She had become a friend, but I just wasn't going to meetings. I would find excuses. Therapy, I was still doing, but again, with work, I wasn't doing it as regularly. I'd go from once a week to maybe every other week. And by the time that incident happened, it was more like once a month that I was going to therapy. So I do see now that progression of kind of cutting back on things. So I was sober, but I wasn't as proactive in my program as I was at the beginning of that 4-year period.
Are you maintaining sobriety now?
I am. I currently go to 2 to 3 meetings a week, virtual and in person. And of course, therapy. I'm also currently on Vivitrol. Still, I've been on it for 5 years now, and I'm currently still taking it along with all the precautions that go along with it, just to make sure that my body and my blood and my liver are still okay. I've been with the same doctor now for 6, 7 years, ever since I left, and then have now gone back on it. So just to make sure my body's still healthy, even on the medication.
Do you celebrate a date of sobriety?
I do. My sobriety date is May 5th, 2021. So I just celebrated 5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Looking back over the last 5 years, how would you differentiate what you're doing now to maintain sobriety versus what you were doing before March of 2021?
I think before, when I got sober, there was a lot of shame involved in my sobriety. Most of my friends at the time drank. It was a lot of what was my lifestyle. I drank when I went to dinner. I drank when I went on vacation. I drank when I went to sporting events. I drank when I went to my kids' sporting events. I mean, it was just such a part of the culture that I had established. And most of my friends drank as well. So there was a lot of shame around it that I wasn't able to partake, and that I felt like I wasn't strong enough. And I didn't want anyone to know that I couldn't drink. I felt like alcoholic was a bad word, like it was a derogatory statement if you called someone an alcoholic. So I think there was a part of me in the back of my head that never really succumbed to that first step. I think there was always this part of me that always believed that I would be able to drink again. Like, as long as I could figure out how to drink like a lady, or could drink appropriately, like could just have one glass of wine with dinner, or could have one beer at a game. I always felt there was that part of me that never really felt like I would always not drink. Like I just needed to learn how to do it right. And I carried that shame, and I carried a lot of resentments as well. Resentments towards people for being able to drink normal or being able to drink at events, resentments towards my husband, just a lot of resentments carried with me through that entire time of sobriety. This time with my DUI, I've really done work on a lot of internal struggles that I have with self-esteem and self-honesty and vulnerability and people pleasing, and really just caring way too much about what other people think and what the situations are around me in order for me to feel okay. I've done a lot of work on that with my therapist and with my sponsor. And now starting to remove that shame of alcoholism from myself, and really being able to be more honest with the people around me, creating boundaries, and quite frankly, cutting some ties with relationships and friendships and that I am not able to be around anymore. There is no alcohol in my house. My husband does not drink. That was his choice. And just being able to kind of create a new life where I don't live in that shame, and have been able to deal with the resentments that I wasn't able to deal with before the DUI arrest.
How would you describe the community around you, whether it's family or friends, and how they help you maintain sobriety?
The community in AA has been incredibly supportive. They're sober, and obviously, hopefully, and they provide a lot of support in that through even just being in the meetings or going through the activities, having a sponsor, listening to their testimony, their stories can provide a wealth of support for me, even if it's just hearing something that I needed to hear in that moment. Also, with my friendships, they all are aware of my struggles. They are all aware of me being sober. So with that, it's just also provided a lot of support for me, because there's no pressure to drink. Often in our events, there's no drinking at all. So it just, to know that I have a good group of friends, and also my family does not drink. Even my extended family, which is significant, they don't drink. So it has been really helpful to have a really big tribe of people around me that that are supportive, that do not drink, that don't support that type of a culture, so that I can really be able to kind of flourish and not have any kind of triggers or temptations or anything like that around me.
How often do you attend AA meetings?
2 to 3 times a week.
And at those AA meeting, or looking at AA generally, how has that allowed you to maintain sobriety for now 5 years and 2 days?
I was going to AA even before the probationary period. My sponsor and I have known each other for 9 years now. But I feel like AA is that support network that helps give you your daily dose of not just support, but kind of spiritual guidance, if you will. It's helpful to start your morning committing yourself to the first 3 steps, I believe, just to remember that first and foremost, that I need to maintain my sobriety first. Otherwise, all the other cards fall. You know, really hone in on that higher power, something, you know, greater than me is out there, which is essential, that I don't have all the answers. And then I really make that commitment to that. And AA helps me with that. And going to the meetings and hearing other people's stories, being able to celebrate other people's milestones and birthdays is a way for us to celebrate our sobriety, and also a way for people to get together that have the same struggles. And so you don't feel alone, and you feel supported by a group of people that have the same struggles as you, and you get to hear their stories, and you get to relate. And sometimes you get to hear what you needed to hear that day, and that might help you just kind of get through the day. So that's where AA has really been a help and a benefit for me.
And then you mentioned having a sponsor. How has that relationship allowed you to maintain sobriety?
I've had the same sponsor for 9 years now, and we've become very close friends. And she was with me when I first came into AA, and then has also been with me through this period of relapse, and has helped and guided me through the steps now twice. I've gone through them. And we've seen each other. She's seen me with my children and seen me send my daughter off to college. I've seen her daughter give birth to her first grandchild. And she's really been there to keep me grounded. We've met so many times just to meet for coffee when I was struggling with something at home. She's come to my house before, just, you know, in a moment when I felt weak. But I think with my sponsor, she understands the levels of alcoholism. She understands what it's like to feel triggered or to want to go to an inappropriate coping skill. And when I do feel weak or I do feel triggered, she's someone that I can go to that kind of speaks the same language. And I can reach out to her, and she lives down the street. So we're not far from each other, and we can reach out to each other at any time of day. So that has been a really big support for me.
Earlier, you also mentioned attending therapy. What specifically about therapy has helped you maintain your sobriety?
My therapist is aware of my substance use disorder, my alcoholism, and she has been able to help a lot of other people in all different throes of addiction, including alcoholism. And she has been able to, from the beginning, start to get to work on what were kind of the underlying causes that led me to engage in substance use and then come back to it in March of 2021. And so we did a lot of work on the resentments that I hold and the kind of the blaming that I was doing and the underlying things that were going on. And we continue to work on that. And each week we still always come back to, the alcohol and is it still triggering? Every week she'll ask. And we come back to that. Even though I haven't had any cravings or I haven't had any triggers, we always still come back to that. And we're always still making sure that that's something that we're still not, we're working on or looking at. But she's really been essential in helping me discover those underlying issues and to help me with the shame and the resentments that I've had in the past.
If this petition is granted, how would that, if at all, affect your participation in therapy?
I would still engage in therapy. I think that the only thing that possibly would change is doing telehealth therapy. The actual therapy itself has, the in-person therapy has impacted my job. So moving to telehealth would be helpful. Also, possibly moving to a therapist that takes my insurance. The cost of therapy has impacted my family financially. So that would be the only changes. But as far as therapy itself, that is not something that would stop. That is something that has been really important to me and something that I engaged in even before I was on probation, even before March of 2021.
And then if this petition is granted, how would that affect your participation or attendance in AA?
AA is something that I've been doing for years, even before March of 2021, even before I was on probation. So my attendance in AA would not change.
Thinking about everything that you've just shared with the board, how would you describe yourself today in 2026 in comparison to who you were in 2021?
I think in 2021, I was still unsure of how I saw my life necessarily. As I explained earlier, as far as drinking goes, I still had that feeling that I could still learn to drink like a normal person. I still had that feeling in the back of my head until the DUI. And then I knew that this is not how normal people react. This doesn't happen to normal people. And I knew immediately that I needed to get back into treatment and I needed to get support. And I immediately got into treatment, started back in with my therapist, got back on Vivitrol, and was back in AA meetings, and starting to try to figure out what had happened and trying to get to work on myself. So now, as I sit here in 2026, I've had 5 years of working on myself. I feel like I am in a good place. I feel like I am in a good place with my recovery. I feel like I am solid in my sobriety. And I feel like I'm dealt with these issues that I know that I hadn't dealt with before. And I've been moving forward now and I continue to move forward, doing the same things that I was doing before and will continue to do after and if this termination is granted.
Should the board have any concerns over public safety in the granting of this probation?
I do not feel like the board should have any concerns. The work that I was doing that the board has required me to do, I was doing even before the board required me to do the therapy and the AA meetings. I was already doing that before, and I plan on continuing to do that work even after. Vivitrol was not something the board required me to do. That is just something that I have done on my own and plan on continuing to do. I value my job within recovery, and it is imperative that I am sober and safe for my clients. And it is something that I pride myself on and something that I feel very, very passionate about. And I also have a amazing family, and sobriety is essential for me, keeping that family together. And it is also at the cornerstone of what I've created for this life that I'm living now. So I feel very solid in in my sobriety and what I'm doing daily, because it's not just a practice of going to meetings, and it's not just a practice of therapy, but it's a practice that I actually engage in every single day when I get up. And it's something that I'm not complacent in. It's something that I'm actively working on each day when I get up and do those steps, 1, 2, and 3, when I commit to sobriety every day.
Speaking about your employment, how has your sobriety maintenance affected your employment?
As far as the probation has gone, it has impacted my employment due to some times that I've had to leave my employment in order to go to therapy, as well as I've had to go several times to in-person drug test. And that has caused some issues with my employment. I'm supposed to be in the IOP office with my clients during their group facilitation, and I've had to leave on several times in order to go to therapy, and I've had to leave several times when I've actually had to go in-person drug test. And that has made it difficult for my employer on several different occasions. And I believe you have a letter from my employer stating that.
Do you believe that you're a safe practitioner?
I do believe I'm a safe practitioner. It's very important for me that I create a safe and nurturing environment for my clients. As you can imagine, coming off of detox in the house, they need to feel that they are safe, and some of them don't feel that they have anyone to talk to. They aren't able to use phones in the first phase of their treatment. And so having someone that they feel like they can be vulnerable with, someone they feel like they can be safe with, especially when they're physically hurting and struggling, is very important to me. So creating that type of environment, not only for my detox clients, but also for the clients as they progress through their treatment to PHP and IOP, is really important to me, and really important that I create for those clients.
And finally, is there anything that you would like the board to know that you haven't shared already?
Yes, I would like to thank the board for, I would like to thank the board for allowing me to keep my license. I am so deeply grateful that you trusted me to keep my license. It has been deeply humbling, but I'm so grateful. The incident that happened on March 7th of 2021 was definitely a turning point in my life, one of which I have gained a lot of acceptance and accountability. I've changed a lot personally and professionally. I am so thankful that I've been able to continue practicing and really commit to something that I really love and am passionate about. I do feel at this time I am able to supervise myself and am able to monitor myself. I am so thankful for your guidance and your understanding during my probation and your trust in me to continue practicing. That's all. Thank you.
Nothing further at this time.
Thank you very much. Ms. Heim, your witness for questioning. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a few questions. Mr. Oski, I was wondering if in AA you sponsor any other.
No, I actually do not have any sponsors just due to the time commitment. You have a few letters submitted about my volunteer work. I volunteer as the team mom for my daughter's San Diego State dance team, as well as I'm the activities on the board of my son's baseball team as activities chair. And I also run the after the food distribution. They give food out after his football games, and I run that program too for the football program. So I'm terribly busy, and so I don't want to not be able to fully engage in sponsorship, which is it's a big job. So that's why I have not sponsored myself.
Thank you. And you mentioned your big tribe. Can you tell us specifically some of the people that are in your big tribe of support?
Sure. So I have a couple friends that are very, very close to me. And I would say there's 3 of them. I'm not sure if you want their names, but I have 3 very close friends, Missy, Melina, and Allison, that I'm very close to. I also have a cousin out in San Diego and an aunt that helped to monitor my daughter. She lives out in San Diego. So they're very close to me. And when I go out there to see my daughter, I often spend time with them. And they're very well aware of what's going on with my sobriety journey. Everyone I mentioned is, most people are, because I'm very honest about it. I also have my sponsor, as well as several other people within the AA program that we all kind of have groups together. We meet at the park or meet for coffee or breakfast that I would consider also a part of my tribe.
Thank you. And actually, that was another question I was wondering about is it sounds like possibly your AA meetings are in person at this time. What are they, in virtual or in person?
Both. So I usually do at least 1 in person, but sometimes 2, just depending on if someone's celebrating a birthday or having a milestone, then I'll go in person. But I always go to the Saturday meetings in person. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And just a reminder, you said twice a week you're going?
2 to 3 times, yes.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any kind of relapse prevention plan?
I have a plan if I feel like I'm being triggered or if I feel like I'm having any kind of cravings. And that would be the first thing I would do would be to call my sponsor. She's local. She's someone that I can call. She's someone that I could go over to her house. She's someone that I could get together with. And the reason I would call her first is not just because that's kind of her job, but because she's the one that would know best, what the next step would be, whether that would be for us to hit a meeting or whether it might be a higher level of care. Maybe I need to get back into an outpatient treatment, or maybe I need to, do something different. Maybe I need to, I think that she would be the one that might be able to support me the best out of kind of that support system that I have.
Thank you. At this time, I don't have any further questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Heim. And we're going to go in the opposite direction again. Mr. Anasinghe, do you have any questions?
Yes, hello, Mr. Oski. I do have a couple questions. You mentioned that you were sober for 4 years prior to your DUI on March 7th of 2021. Is it correct to say that you knew you had an alcohol problem prior to March 7th?
Yes, I started realizing that I had an alcohol problem back in 2016 after I answered yes to almost all of the DSM questions. And that's when I started to go to AA meetings and started trying to work through it. And so, yes, I absolutely did know I had an alcohol problem.
And you mentioned that the day of the incident, you had an IVF treatment and they gave you a stress reduction thing, and it sort of cued you into a manic state. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can I ask you a question about this? And it's sort of a loaded question. What effect do those facts have on your understanding of your own accountability in the incident?
I think that I, for one, should never have gotten that IV treatment. I think that was my first mistake. Knowing that I didn't, never have had one before, knowing that I have an addictive personality, knowing that my brain and my body does not work like other people, I think that was my first mistake. And I think as far as accountability, I knew I was drinking. I knew I got the drinks. I knew I was drinking. That part of it, I absolutely remember. So I take full responsibility for what I did. I knew I got in the car. I knew I drove. It's just the actual arrest itself that I'm fuzzy on.
Okay. I have nothing further at this time.
Thank you very much. Ms. Bailey, any questions?
Thank you for being here, Ms. Dorosky.
Yes.
I have a question. You talked about in 2026 is when you took that kind of assessment and realized that you may have an alcohol problem. Can you talk about prior to 2016 and what alcohol consumption looked for you, sobriety looked for you? What did that look like before 2016? Because that's been about 10 years.
Yeah. So I think before that, I would say that I was having what I thought was a normal relationship with alcohol. I don't know if in retrospect it was just functional or if it was normal, because I was able to go to work. I was able to have a glass of wine at night. I was able to not drink every night of the week. I was able to have a beer at a sporting event. I was able to function daily without alcohol. I think with stress, I started to realize that if I drank more, that the stress started going away. I also have a family history of alcoholism. My grandfather died of alcoholism. So I think I was starting at 2016 to put the pieces together. And I started in 2025, started to drink more. I started noticing I was drinking every night of the week. Started noticing I was having bigger glasses of wine. Started noticing I was starting to drink on Saturday in the morning. So it was a progression, but by 2016, I was noticing that I was hungover more often than not. And I started realizing I was having more problems, coming to work. And I think that's when it was finally hitting me. But the progression, I would say, started in 2015, but it really hit me by 2016 that it was a problem.
So what you're saying is that prior to 2016, it wasn't until 2015 or 2014 that you noticed an increase in alcohol, but prior to that, really didn't have any difficult relationship with alcohol?
Yeah, it was very normal behavior. It was very normal. It was very normal. And then it started to just progress. I think before that, I had very normal coping skills. I was doing normal things. It just was off limits for me. I was very regimented. You have one glass of wine when you go out to dinner, and then pretty soon it just got the case of kind of the screw it, and I'll have two because it made me feel better. And then it just kind of started to progress in 2015. And I don't know if it was the stress of what I was going through at the time, or if it was things that were going on with my marriage at the time. But I just kind of gave in to impulses that I was having. And before that, I just was very, very structured. And I also had a second child in 2011, but even up until 2015, it wasn't a problem. Until that time when it really started to progress.
And remind me again, when did you start going to AA? Was that in 2016?
It was in 2016.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is like
Yeah.
you made it almost to 40, never had a problem, 36 something, never noticed, you said normal drinking.
Yeah.
And then it came on. And so you're thinking maybe it was stress related. So can you talk a little bit about that of like, you can make it that far in life with normal alcohol and then getting to that age and maybe stress triggering deeper alcohol consumption?
Yeah. When my son was born in 2011, I had postpartum depression. And kind of my hormones all changed around, and drinking did look a lot different. I didn't really, when I was breastfeeding, so I didn't drink at all for a good 2 years while I breastfed. So that would have taken me right up until 2013. And drinking really did look different after that. It just, it really, and I was on antidepressants also, and I've been on antidepressants. So that could have also had something to do with it, because I know antidepressants and alcohol, they don't jive. So that might have also had something to do with it. But after that, things did look different. And I think my life also was much more high stress with 2 children. And so things did look different at that time. So I don't know if but I was still very normal until I started noticing it, maybe, like I said, right around 2015. But because of like I said, the breastfeeding until 2013, right around then though, but I was on the antidepressants.
Yeah, I guess what I'm really trying to understand
Yeah.
these questions is if 2016 you started going to AA, you didn't just say, I'm going to stop drinking, right? Like, hey, I'm noticing something, I'm going to stop drinking. You immediately went to some deeper level of intervention. And I'm just wondering, when you're like, oh, it's not that really that serious, what made you immediately start going to AA instead of just, I'm just not going to drink anymore?
Oh, it was serious. It was very serious. I started going to my kids' events drinking. I got drunk at one of my kids' events. People noticed me drunk. People were noticing me drunk. I mean, very drunk. I showed up at a night event for my son when he had a costume. He had a costume party. He was in kindergarten, and I showed up blasted drunk. I was absolutely out of my mind blasted. So it was obvious people were talking about me. It was embarrassing. People in the community were talking about me. So it was a big deal. It was a big deal, and it was impacting my family. And even the school was talking about me, and they brought in my husband to talk to him. So it was a big deal. So it was more than just me casually like, oh, I'm drinking too much. No, it was absolutely, people were noticing my drinking.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, sorry. I should
Thank
have
you very
clarified.
much. No more questions for you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ms. Uribe.
Yeah, can you tell me about your coping skills, maybe now compared to maybe before?
Yes, absolutely. I think before, as far as coping, it would be distraction, and or exercise, which is a good coping skill. But again, it would mostly be distraction, which serves a purpose but wasn't all that healing. And now, as far as coping, it's a lot of relaxation, meditation, mindfulness is a big one for me. And just really trying to quiet the racing thoughts that I'm having. I've worked a lot on that with my own therapist as well as with my sponsor. I often, if I'm struggling, will just, you can go to an AA meeting at any time. They're virtual, so you can go to one anytime, all the time, and just talk. So a lot of times, if I'm struggling, I can just go to a meeting and just kind of say what's on my mind. And you don't get feedback necessarily, sometimes in the chat, but you can always just go to a meeting, and that's helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sovik, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing all of this with you and being very open with your testimony today. In your statement, you talk about you volunteer for your daughter's dance team at San Diego State University. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
And in that, you were describing some of your work there includes like various things of organization and managing and setting up and all of that. And one of the things you mentioned was that you are sometimes involved in setting up football tailgate parties.
Yes.
They're sometimes known to be alcohol at a football tailgate party. And I was just curious, in an environment like that, what are the ways that you manage yourself when it's not just, oh, a trigger, but it is like flooding around you? How do you manage that?
Well, this is actually a tailgate party for the dancers, so there's no booze. But there's booze all around, but actually for the dancers, it's no booze. So it's just their food and water, which is helpful. But yes, there's going to be booze at all the other tailgate parties going crazy. But since the actual event that I'm at doesn't have any, that's always helpful. But, when I go right inside the stadium, then, there's booze there all over the place. And I think the thing about Vivitrol is it actually kind of makes you feel a little bit nauseous when you're around that type of those types of drinks. So that has helped with the support, but also just being able to be present there for my daughter, and being able to see her on the field, my son loves football, so being able to sit next to him, and watch the game and enjoy the game with him, and being able to be present and to remember the game and to be a part of the game is really important to me and really special for me. So that's really how I kind of get through that.
Okay. And then speaking of the Vivitrol, that was another question I had. You had mentioned that previous to the March 7th incident that you had been for 2 years been off the Vivitrol. If you're comfortable sharing, what was your decision process in saying I'm no longer going to use the Vivitrol?
I think it was twofold. I think one, that it was still in the back of my mind that I would be okay drinking. I think there was still that part of me that thought I could go back to drinking normal. And two, I did at that time have concerns about my liver. But since then, they've made changes to Vivitrol, and I do regular blood tests, and my liver has never been impacted. So those concerns I don't have anymore about the medication. But the main reason I really do feel was because I just thought I would be able to go back and drink like a normal person. And that's why I hadn't told anybody that I was going to AA or that I wasn't drinking.
So then, do you currently see the Vivitrol as a lifelong medication for you, as an aid to your sobriety?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I have no plans on going off of it, and my doctor doesn't see any need for me to go off of it as long as I'm doing well, and as long as all of my blood work looks good.
Cool. And then one last thing. I believe I heard, and please help me through this moment, when you talked about you had the IV treatment and then you drank and then you went to your mom's, and your mom made a comment that there was something different about your behavior.
Yes.
Can you unpack that moment for me to understand, one thing I understand, knowing that you'd had some previous work and sobriety, that didn't like ring any type of alarm bell for you, because then you said you drank even more and then you got in the car.
Yeah.
Could you help me understand that moment a little bit better?
I think it really, at that point, my mind was just so set on me just keeping that high feeling. It really would not have mattered what she had said. I was just so focused on me staying high. And even though those words that she had told me about looking like I was manic should have stopped me in my tracks and made me just go sit down and lay down, it just didn't even phase me in that moment, because all I was consumed with was just keeping that high. And that's where my head was in that moment, just completely in a really fog.
So then coming to present time, if one of your people in your support circle or one of those amazing friends you
Yeah.
have said to you, hey, something seems a little bit off, what cascade might that set off for you?
I think it would definitely indicate that I need to get get some help, or reach out to somebody. And if it's someone in my support network, who do I need to reach out to? Do I need to reach out to my sponsor, or do I need to reach out to a doctor, or do I need to possibly look at, outpatient care or even inpatient care? What do I need to do? Because as far as going back to alcohol, that's just not an option for me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Walker, you're up next.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Dorosky?
Yes.
Okay, make sure I pronounce that correctly. Thank you for your testimony and your counsel. I'm sorry, I didn't note your name.
Ms. Sullivan.
Thank you, Ms. Sullivan, for your time and your testimony today. I appreciate you both giving us maybe a further explanation for your DUI relapse, for lack of better words, okay? I gained a deeper understanding for your why behind your relationship with alcohol and your plan for managing your sobriety moving forward, okay? So I appreciate everything that you've shared with us. For the record, I have a question in regards to her ending probation date. I think it was noted in the second by our DAG representative, but I see the third in our paperwork. So I just want to be clear. It's a day difference, but I just want to be clear here.
No, that's fine. Ms. Heim, if you can clarify for us, I know we're sort of going, but I think it's fair to clear that up.
Sorry, can you tell me again what you're looking for?
Her end of probation, the petitioner's probation is October 3rd, 2028, and according to my paperwork, but you said the second.
One
Is it
second,
October?
because
October?
it was effective on the 23rd, 2023. Yeah, 28. So it will be
October-
20, that's 5 years for 5-year probation.
My
So July. Because it was
end date for
effective.
petitioner's probation is October 3rd.
I'm reading the same as you. I think that if we look at Exhibit 5, that's the petitioner summary provided from the board probation monitor.
Let me just double check, because the date is actually, it might be because of, did you have any tolling?
I did for
Okay.
3 months.
Okay, then I apologize, because that would be why they're different. Because I was looking at the yes, so the effective date would be what the probation monitor has noted, including the tolling. I apologize. So the actual date would be the date the probation monitor lists as her expiration.
Which is October 3rd,
Correct.
2028.
Yes.
For the record, I believe it was said the second.
And
did our court reporter pick up the second? I guess I'm asking
May
that
have
as well.
misspoken. Let me just double check.
I thought it was a simple question. Do we know what was recorded?
Oh, I don't without having it played back. However, I think we can just make
Just
sure it's
note that it,
clarified
okay,
for
thank
right
you. Just
now.
note October
Yeah.
3rd, 2028.
And let me ask petitioners counsel to, do you have any different position on that date or does that look correct to you as well?
That looks correct to me. It's what's in the
Perfect.
monitor's report.
Perfect. So I think we have a stipulation, that the probation monitor's report is correct and it's October 3rd, 2028. So
Thank
that's
you.
fine.
I am,
Your
I'm
Honor.
sorry, Dr. Walker, go ahead. You can go. Thank you.
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Friedman, any questions?
Mr. Roski, thank you very much for being here. You've given us a lot of detail, which is very, very, very compelling. I read in something that you wrote that you said when you were arrested, it should have happened 2 years earlier, which leads me to believe that you knew 2 years earlier that you were having a problem, I assume. But also leads me to believe that your being on probation stopped. It really helped you come to terms with everything that you were dealing with. And I'm wondering how you feel if this probation were to suddenly stop. What would that do to you?
So thank you for the question. So the therapy and the meetings that I am required to do for my probation, I was actually already doing them before, and I actually plan on continuing to do them after. So those elements of my probation, I'm planning on doing even after the probation ends. Those are not things that I plan on stopping doing. They're part of my sobriety, and they're also part of my growth as a human. So those are things that will not stop, even if my probation is granted.
But from what you were saying about how this should have happened 2 years earlier, I assume you're saying that probation has really worked for you.
The probation has been essential, yes, in allowing me to keep my license and allowing me to practice. And it's been in allowing me to do something that I love and allowing me to rediscover my passion for recovery. And those are things that I've been able to do while on probation that I would not have been able to do if the board had not allowed me in keeping my license. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
I'm curious about one thing. You mentioned that at some point, everybody in your community was aware of what was going on with you and that you would show up at games and other activities of your children drunk. What was your children's reaction to all of this? Did your children say to you, Mom, you've got to get help?
At that time, they were very young. My son would have only been maybe 3 years old, my daughter maybe 6. So they were kind of hidden from what was going on. They really didn't understand what was going on, but other community members who would be there, they knew what was going on. Luckily for me that they were really too young to understand or see what was going on, and the community and my family and friends really shielded them from it. But the community and my husband, they were very aware and they could see what was going on.
Well, congratulations on keeping your family together during a very difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Friedman. Ms. Thies.
Thank you for your, excuse me. Thank you for your testimony today and for being here. I wanted to ask about your employment a little bit with New Life. So you've been there about 3 years. Is that correct?
2.
2. Okay, apologies. You mentioned that, and I think you're in your oral testimony, but also in your packet, that early termination would alleviate significant strain. Can you go into a little bit more detail about how your role at New Life might change with if the termination were granted?
Yes. So the strain right now that it has put on my job at New Life is that I've been having to take time off of New Life or out of my job to attend therapy sessions and I've had to test in person several times, and I've had to take time out of work to do that. I am the only therapist on staff, and there's supposed to be a therapist in the IOP office during all of the group sessions. And so there has been times when they've had a mental health crisis, things have happened, and I've actually been out of the office, or clients that are just having needs that need to be met, and I'm out of the office, not able to fulfill my duties. So me me being granted this early termination of my probation would allow me to fulfill the role of being able to be there full time. So that would be a lot of stress. It would also be able to help the company in being able to have a therapist there full time, because as of now, when I leave, there's just no therapist there
Got it.
on site.
Okay, thank you. So your role wouldn't actually change. You wouldn't be doing new or different tasks. You would just be there to do the tasks that they need you to do, given your role.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Where were you employed prior to New Life?
So I was actually a teacher before that.
Okay.
And then I had went to school to be a marriage family therapist, and planned on going into that as my occupation, and then COVID hit. And so everything kind of shut down, and my family can't run on one salary. So I was kind of forced back into teaching till things kind of got back in line. And then I was able to pursue my job of my dreams, which is to be a therapist.
Okay, so were you actually then not working during the March 2021 incident?
I was a teacher during that.
Oh, you were?
incident.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I think the other board members have covered the rest of my questions, so
Okay.
nothing further. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Ms. Thies. Let me check with the other board members if any other questions arose. If you could just raise your hand. I don't see any hands. Are you satisfied, Ms. Heim?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
And what about you, counsel? Anything else?
Very briefly, just have to request to enter 3 exhibits.
I'm glad you are on top of that because we do need to address them. There were 3 proposed exhibits A through C. I'll have you just identify each one, and then we'll have them offered into evidence.
The first is pre-marked as Exhibit A, which is a letter from Mr. Roski's sponsor, which is labeled as, or can be found at B1.
Thank you. Any objection to Exhibit A?
No.
Thank you. Exhibit A is admitted.
Thank you. What's been pre-marked as Exhibit B is a log of Mr. Roski's attendance at AA meetings, which can be found at B2 and B3.
Any objection to B?
No objection.
Thank you. Exhibit B is admitted.
And finally, what's been pre-marked as Exhibit C is a letter from Mr. Roski's therapist, which can be found at B4 and B5.
Any objection?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Exhibit C is admitted. Anything else from the petitioner?
Just very briefly, a closing.
Sure, absolutely. No problem. Go ahead.
To the board and Your Honor, thank you for your time and your questions today, which hopefully brought forth enlightening responses from Mr. Roski as she was able to share her growth and her true commitment to her sobriety through her AA attendance, her participation in therapy, and the construction of the tribe that she's built around herself. I hope you can see that she's demonstrated her rehabilitation and has truly rediscovered her passion for recovery, and that petitioner would like to renew her request to grant this petition and terminate her probation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sullivan. And Ms. Heim, is there any closing you would like to give? I just want to always give every side an opportunity.
There is not. Thank you, though.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, then, at this time, the record is closed. Matter is submitted for decision, and we can go off the record. If the court reporter can just provide me the end time and page count. Thank you, Madam Court Reporter. I will sign all of the court reporter forms, and they will be served on you and then on all the parties in case you wish to order a transcript. Is there anything you need from us, Ms.? Okay, thank you so much. Then you are excused, I believe. Thank you so much.
Run.
Run before we need you again. All right, everyone, jokes aside, I will turn it over back to our board chair to decide how we proceed from here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the board is now going to be moving into closed session per section 11126C3 of the Government Code to take actions on disciplinary matters, including the above petitions that we've heard today. So thank you all so much for your time and attention as we've been moving through this today, and we will be clearing the room and moving offline for closed session.